day! Lunchtime has finally arrived! Mio gleefully announced the beginning of lunch.
Lunchtime at last! Someone here will have to play the punishment game, yes? The punishment game this time, it's a little scary, so... Sorry, but Rena went all out making her bento.
In Rena's case, I don't think she'd lose even if she wasn't taking it seriously.
We tried our hardest too.
Sadako and Rika made separate lunches today? Usually you have the same bento, but that won't do for the showdown today, will it?
Yes, it's quite alright. Rika and I made sure to make separate ones. Wow, Sadako and Rika both tried really hard. How exciting!
And what's a little surprising is that Kei-chan was able to make a bento. Good job, Kei-chan! It looks like you really can do it if you try. Oh hey, I was just watching the rebuilds of Evangelion where Shinji was making bentos and then all the girls were making bentos. Anyway, I scratched my head and gave her a dry smile. My bento today had been made entirely by Sadako last night. It had none of my personality, so there wasn't anything that they really could praise me for.
What does Keiichi's bento look like? Oh, I can't wait to see!
Don't expect too much. It's just leftover rice and side dishes from last night.
Leftovers are the foundation of bentos. Now we'll know your dinner last night too! We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone!
Was it really better to hide the fact that Sadako came over and made dinner last night? Well, of course it was. If I revealed that I didn't make my own bento, I'd be sure to end up playing the punishment game. Today's punishment game was to stand right in front of the curry maniac Chie and say bad things about curry. It wasn't too different from telling someone to jump off the 100-story window. It wasn't exactly the same as telling someone to, yeah.
But, Mii-chan, how will we decide who wins and loses the bento showdown? Keiichi made his own too, so maybe we should call it a draw for today. We could do that! The punishment game yesterday was sort of a whip to encourage Keiichi to cook for himself after all. And Keiichi made his own too, so it's a draw.
My simple bento with last night's leftovers could never have stood up to everyone else's bento they made to win. I fully understood Sadako and Rika's concern for me as they tried to end the showdown peacefully. However, the club president, Sonozaki Mio, would not be convinced by something like that. I wonder why you're all so optimistic, leaving one of our showdowns in such a gray area is out of the question. Now that we've all clashed, we must settle this score. Reconciling with the draw only happens in the Yakuza world. I knew you'd say that. There's no way you'd end it that way with your battle lust. This is bad. At this rate, I was sure to be the sole loser. But, well, I didn't make this bento after all. Maybe I need to resign myself to my inevitable loss.
Okay, Mii. How are we going to decide who wins?
It won't be fair if we grade each other's. Let's do an open judgment. Okay, everyone, assemble! Mio commanded everyone who had just started eating, using her club president voice. Come and judge our 5 bento. Write your favorite 3 on the piece of paper and submit it. Understand? Everyone in the class used to being dragged into Mio's club activities. Yeah! Came in energetic voices from here and there. Everyone already knew this showdown was time involved, an utterly fatal punishment game, and they were all very interested in what would happen to whoever lost. Of course they wanted the thrill of seeing something terrifying. Okay, everyone ready? Then I'll go first, alright? Ta-da! In an exaggerated fashion, Mio pulled the lid off her multi-tiered ornate bento box. Multiple cheers of joy erupted at the brilliant sight.
That's amazing! It's just like New Year's food!
Osechi, it can't be. It has to be a lie. She must have switched the contents with a catered bento. Such purely Japanese cooking. Mio! Sonozaki Mio couldn't possibly make this.
Nope. This is easy for Mii-chan if she gets serious. She almost never gets serious, though.
Just who do you think this old man is? Given enough time and ingredients, I could even reproduce the Manchu Han Imperial feast. The entire classroom gulped audibly, and everyone wrote down a score on the note paper in their hands simultaneously. It made sense. Just a visual impact would give her a perfect score. Alright, let's see Rena's next. Rena's really good at cooking too.
Rena's bento is like a flower arrangement. Thanks, everyone! I'll reveal my bento now. Eh?
Rena's bento It was a beautiful mix of 2 colors of eggs and minced meat, and it too was a bento staple. The Soboro bento. She had been thorough with the side dishes as well, and they were abundant in number. She had spent more time than usual on it, but it was unassuming and truly nonchalant. One couldn't ignore the household warmth that it was Mion's bento lacked.
If I may say, you've done it again! This should get quite a high score!
I should have known. It may look rigid, but there isn't anything to deduct points from. Amazing as always! Once again, every one of the judges wrote a score on their notepaper at the same time. There seemed to be those who were revising their opinions when they compared it to Mion's score too. The whole classroom seemed split between Mion and Rena, and on everyone's face, it was clear. They all wanted to be tasting them, rather than scoring them.
Then we'll be next. Yes, and I will now reveal mine!
Come to think of it, Sadako and Rika ate with me last night at my house. It was impressive they still made a bento. Both of their bentos were clearly lacking compared to Mion's artfulness and Rena's perfection. However, because of that, you could sense from them how hard they worked. The toppings were a little on the rough side, but you could still feel that they tried their hardest. It made you feel a little biased so that you'd give them more points. A few people struck by just that once again revised their opinions and wrote in scores on their notepaper. Sadako, Rika, you both made really good bentos today. They might not measure up to Rena or Mion's craftsmanship, but when you think about it, they're pretty amazing. Sadako and Rika glanced at each other and grinned happily.
This is just a secret, okay?
What? When Sadako told me, I broke off from the others and secretly looked for my classmates' bento boxes. They are Tomita and Okamuro's bento boxes. I took a quick peek inside and half of the contents were missing. Not bad. In the end, Sadako and Rika hadn't made bento today. A bold move, they got Tomita and Okamura to share their bentos with them. Hey Tomita, Okamura, how did they buy you out?
What are you saying, my bra? When did we get that up and for what? That's right. It's not like we traded them our duty watering the garden for half our bentos.
Curse you, Sadako. What an impudent trick. Sadako grinned, showing her fang-like canines, and laughed in triumph. I remember when I was all about my canines when I was younger.
Oh, this is only something I learned from you, Keiichi. Yes.
How naive buying them out with watering duty alone. They're men. If you're gonna buy them out, you need to use something a lot spicier than that. For example, like giving them 3 tickets to walk Sadako. What the hell? No, we're not reading that part. Well, that might be enough to get me to do any. What? Keiichi? I was lost in my wild fantasies. Mio clapped me on the shoulder and called me back to reality. Damn, it was just getting really good. Seriously? Alright, next is Kei-chan's bento. We're all hoping for something pretty great because of your declaration from yesterday. But how did it really turn out?
Keiichi can do it if he needs to. Rena was really excited for today. Today!
They're all looking forward to it. But it's really just leftovers from dinner last night. I didn't even make it either. How was it supposed to stand up to Mion and Rena and the others? That's it! Feast your eyes on this! I tore the lid off my bento box. There weren't very chairs. Well, I guess there wouldn't be.
Keiichi, you tried your hardest too! Rena can tell how hard you worked.
Rena, don't feel like you need to compliment me.
How did this happen? Was Keiichi actually a hard worker after all?
Well, I mean, I want to acknowledge how hard you tried, but for this showdown, it doesn't matter. Mion's cold, mean laugh. It was like it spoke out for everyone's opinion just like that.
Keiichi did really well considering it was his first challenge, you know. I think maybe everyone should rate his a little higher. But for the showdown, it doesn't matter.
Alright, Kei-chan, if you have any last words before we tally up the results, I'll listen to them now. What do you mean by last words? I mean that you might be hoping for a few extra points if you appeal somehow to the crowd. After all, for today's showdown, you just need to avoid coming in last. If you do well enough, then maybe you'll be able to warm out the punishment game.
You're implying that Keiichi's bento is going to take last place, aren't you?
No, this old man wasn't trying to say anyone's bento came in last or anything. Mion cackled repulsively. In contrast, Sadako's smile was growing somehow awkward. Oh, right. This bento was filled with last night's side dishes. That means it's basically a bento that Sadako made. And Mion outright said it would come in last place.
Mi-chan, aren't you being a little mean? Poor Keiichi.
Rena, Kei-chan knew he couldn't lose today's bento showdown beforehand, didn't he? He did all that grandstanding yesterday, well aware of that. I don't think there's any reason to go easy on him, do you? Right, Sadako?
Yes, you are right. And he came here with his mess. It makes me laugh. Wait, Sadako, you can't laugh at him. But the bento is just so ridiculous, I can't help but laugh. These side dishes look like they were bought from the shop. It's really delusioning.
Look, this one is just taken out of a can, wasn't it? This cucumber here isn't cut cleanly. Like, the knife didn't even go all the way through. Kei-chan, you never used a knife, did you? Your lack of experience is apparent.
No, this goes beyond a simple lack of experience.
The presentation's fairly monotonous as well. It's almost a shock to see such a lack of taste. It was my first experience putting food into a bento box, so of course it's not going to look too good. Kei-chan, there's a bigger problem than how you put it into the box. Tomita, Okamura, explain please. Tomita and Okamura were chosen from our many underclassmen. Tomita quickly adjusted his glasses and took a step forward. The fatal flaw in my bar's bento. It's the coloration. As you know, there are 3 primary colors forming the basis of all colors, so if you want a well-balanced color scheme, then excluding the white and black, you need to choose these 3 colors. And nevertheless, if you remove the white and black from my bar's bento, all that would be left is dark green. Ah, dark green. No one will want to eat it if you describe it like that. I had forgotten. Tomita and Okamura had been brought up by Rika and Sadako. They're trying their hardest to let them win and make me lose, weren't they? Ah, what strong wills they have. It was charming, only because they were working so hard despite having been brought out. The side dishes have no spirit in them either. They're all pre-packaged or canned foods. In other words, out of the 3 necessary requirements for a bento, love, spirit, and taste, we can assert that my bar's bento was lacking in 2 of these. The classroom, convinced by the elucidation of the mystery that they were thoroughly baffled with, raised mysterious groans and admiration. No heart and no spirit. It's decided then? My bar Keiichi!
This may sound cold, but if you realize how much fun cooking is because of all this, Keiichi, isn't that enough? Enough? In any case, everything is fine as long as I'm not doing it the punishment game.
Rena was giving a dry smile as well.
It's settled, Keiichi. You're going to be the one doing the punishment game.
She laughed in such a vile manner, but she didn't look like she meant it. I knew that Sadako was speaking ill of a bento that she practically made herself in front of the whole classroom. I could tell how painful that laughter was. Okamura said before this bento lacked spirit, but among all the bento laid out here today, there wasn't a single one with as much spirit as this one. This meal that she made for me yesterday, in such a good mood, though it looked like she was in a bad one. I won't let it end with this slander.
Well then, last place, Keiichi? Please admit your honest defeat already.
Could you just wait a moment? When I began to speak in a low voice, the expressions of all the members of the club changed. Mio clicked her tongue. This man is baring his fangs at the last moment again. My bento was defeated because it lacked spirit. That's how you explained it. Am I wrong, Okamura? Okamura, who had suddenly been placed in the spotlight, looked flustered for a moment, but immediately he stammered and replied that I was right. How do you measure spirit? By difficulty? By effort? By sweat or tears? By its manifestation? Then how would you rate these burns that are still on my hands?
Keiichi, those are oil burns.
Great, the burn marks from my almost caused a fire yesterday looked like I was having a ton of trouble cooking. I could clearly tell that the classroom was forced to acknowledge the effort I put into it. I see. To turn your failures at cooking due to lack of skill into scars of hard work instead. As I thought, I cannot falter around this man. That's right. I lack skill. I'm so bad at cooking that my grandstanding yesterday was pitiful, but I didn't run away. I fought, and I deliver these results. Is that not spirit? What do you think?
Rena wants to acknowledge it. Nobody can keep on going if their divine spirit doesn't get valued.
The girls in the classroom started to nod in agreement. Okay, the tables are turning. But Tomita and Okamura, brought out by the objects of their unrequited affection, weren't about to lose either. They shifted to the counterattack, clearly exceeding the price they were paid.
I see. I understand your feelings, my bra. However, if spirit was all that mattered in cooking, the world wouldn't need chefs. That's right. If a chef brought you a burnt steak and said they put their spirit into it, tried hard, would you pay them? You wouldn't, would you? It's the same thing.
That's right, that's how it goes. The male students took Tomita and Okamura's side. Did have a point. What about consideration? Even if you get a totally black steak, if I knew how much the mother who I made it struggled, I would eat it. I would eat it all. This time the female students in the class took my side. Good, now we're even. Besides, a bento is a refinement of one's love given form. It only means something when the other person feels that way. Does your bento make us feel that way, Maibara?
No, it doesn't make me feel that way.
You're mean! The girls in the class began to boo loudly at his remark. Now even Okamura was panicking. Order! Will the spectators please refrain from making remarks? Your Honor, in order to prove how much of my spirit has gone to this bento, I call Miss Ryugu Rena, an authority figure in the culinary arts, to the stand.
Rena thinks that this bento has spirit in it. It might be rather artless in places. But I think cooking isn't just about outward appearances.
The girls in the class again gave cries of support as they all applauded. In response, all the men in the class began to boo.
Your Honor, the opinions of Maibara and Ryugu are extremely sentimental and aren't following with common sense. They're unsuitable to use as evidence.
Order! The prosecution's objection is sustained. Go ahead!
Let's replace the bento in question with a birthday present, for example. Let's say on my birthday, I, Tomita, received a hand-knitted sweater, and he, Okamura, received a bookstore gift certificate for 10,000 yen.
That strangely felt real. Was it actually just an example?
Common sense dictates which one of them has the spirit. It is, of course, the hand-knitted sweater. If we went back to the bento, this would be handmade side dishes. And the gift certificate, which is nothing more than money, allows you to buy things. In other words, it's the same as simple, meaningless canned goods.
The boys and girls all began to argue amongst themselves about presents. They were all talking about what they received as presents in the past. Damn, Tomita, you changed the subject to something that could easily grab everyone's attention. Not bad. I'll lose the initiative at this rate. Objection! This matter regards the spirit put into the bento. It's entirely different from birthday presents, as they are unique situations. Overruled. Will the prosecution please continue? Damn.
Now then, what's important here is the fact that the spirit of the giver and the spirit of the receiver are totally different. Between the handmade sweater that looks a little bit askew and the 10,000 yen bookstore gift certificate placed here before your very eyes, which would you say is the better choice?
The gift certificate, right?
It's 10,000 yen! 10,000! Can you calculate how many comic books you could buy with that? You could instantly complete a full collection if it was around 10 volumes long. Dozens of happy, humorous, slightly perverted manga. The bliss of your sweetheart can't be compared to the sweater.
The boys unanimously praised that with applause. Materialistic brats. But all guys that age are like that. Even I'd choose the gift certificate over the sweater in that case. Hey, wait. Weren't you the guys the ones who said it was about love and spirit and taste right at the start? Since when did the taste trump at all? That's the stance that we're taking now. I believe this is demonstrated that the spirit of the giver and the spirit of the receiver have no causal relationship. Yes! No matter how much my bra struggle to make this bento, that can't enter the consideration for the rest of us on the receiving end. Mere sophistry, Tomita. It has plenty of spirit. Whether that gets through or not is the receiver's problem.
That's right! Boo! Taste is most important. Enemy of woman. What was that, ugly?
And now the courtroom is in chaos! But I can't allow myself to lose. And not only to avoid the punishment game, but also to protect Sadako's honor. Now then, do the fans have a response to give? Slowly and strongly, I nod and I set up to the base. Tomita, Okamura, do you two really think you can beat me with mere words? The prosecution just said that we should value the gift without basing it on the spirit of the giver, correct? At some point I began to speak formally.
Yes, that's right. No matter how much you labor to make that bento, that labor should not factor into our grading.
Now I have a question for prosecution. If I, Mybar, were to take the bento I made for today and place it beside one brought from the store, would both of these be given the same score? The prosecution hesitated to speak. Got you! That's right! A convenience store bento doesn't even come close to a homemade one. No matter how badly made it is far more spirit than a bento you just bought would ever have. You see? That spirit is being graded, meaning the spirit that cook put into the bento has already reached the recipients. Admit it! Ooh, with those impactful words drawn in the air behind me, I pointed my finger. The girls up I read had broken into applause. Some of the boys were admitting it too.
I'll admit it.
You admitted it? You admitted it, right? Then let's move to why a convenience store bento has no spirit in it. What exactly is the spirit in a bento in the first place? Objection! Myra's trying to deceive the court by using abstract expressions. Objection overruled. This sounds interesting, so listen until he's done. Got him. Now I'll show you the two differences between us. Your Honor, I'd like to call Miss Furude Rika as to stand as a witness.
Me.
Even for Rika, that must have seemed like a bolt from the blue. There's no doubt she never dreamed the point my spear would be aiming at her. But Rika, you said it before. For this showdown, it doesn't matter. Furude Rika, your bento today was very well made. It looks delicious.
Me?
Yes, Sadako and Rika's bentos have been made of half of Tomita and Okumura's. The prosecutor's faces turned pale. But they were too late. Rena, would you bring Okumura's bento over here?
Huh? Okay, sure.
Your Honor, my bento has no relevance in this case. Overruled. Your Honor, I submit Okumura's lunchbox as evidence. Look at it. Look at what's inside. There's only half in here. It's not about whether there's half. Please look a little more closely. See? They're exactly the same. Your Honor, you've seen it. Miss Furude Rika's bento was stolen from Okumura's. There's no way such a thing could have spirit in it. No, that's just a coincidence. It's already obvious. Spirit, it's a game catch between the giver and the receiver. The bento box, then, is the ball. That bento was something Okumura was given from mother to son. That means Okumura is the only one who can feel the spirit from this bento box. Now that it's been disturbed and been stolen, it no longer has that spirit. Oh, yay, that did it!
Huh? What? Is that true? Rika, is that true? Me.
I see how it is. Mio and the judge folded her arms and began to hum. I couldn't even take a guess as to what Mio was laughing about. Frankly, I didn't know whether I would win or lose. Okay, before announcing my judgment, I'll start from the top. The entire classroom quieted. First, from an objective standpoint, there is no doubt that the bento of the accused, Maibara Keiichi, must be seen as poorly made. This is something that the grading results clearly display. Gah! But as Kei-chan said, cooking is not all about taste. The spirit put into it should be considered subtle seasoning. For grading, though, that would only amount to a few points. It's so subtle that it's not enough to alter the results. Ugh. Now then, I'd like to mention the original reason for today's bento showdown. What was the reason for it? That's right. We started to see whether the accused, Maibara Keiichi, could cook for himself and to measure the result.
Yeah, that's right. Keiichi did make his own bento.
That stung my conscience a bit, but for the showdown it didn't matter. So the whole basis behind the showdown was to cook a meal for yourself. In other words, whether or not the meal was homemade. Rika neglected to do that. It's a much bigger problem than how good her bento is. In other words, is she disqualified?
Nipa.
Rika let out a nipa, looking as though she had prepared for herself for this outcome. Don't take it personally, Rika. At our club, things like that don't matter.
Keiichi did well, like I thought. You tried your hardest until the very end.
Rika demanded I lowered my head, and she petted. With that over with, this case is closed. Today's last place goes to Furude Rika. Oh, what a miraculous turnaround. And last place went to Rika. The one everyone had least expected. The whole classroom went wild.
I'm amazed you managed to avoid coming in last place with such a terrible bento.
Sadako looked at me hatefully, but spoke in a vague kind of voice. There's no way I'd come in last. There's nothing in this bento that would deserve last place.
But it's got ready-made side dishes and canned goods and has no style and...
Sadako was speaking more and more poorly of herself as time went on, so I roughly grabbed her head and began to stroke it. I told you, spirit's more important. This bento isn't all about appearance. It's got all kinds of flavors in it.
But spirit isn't the only thing. It tastes totally weird and...
What about it is weird? I thought it was great. It was absolutely great. That's why I packed it. If dinner last night had been bad, then I would have never brought it to school. I would have come here with some bread and a milk carton.
But...
Oh, just shut up already. I caressed her head, swinging it from side to side. At some point, Rena had come up behind us. She was giggling to herself. That's the face of someone who had known everything from the beginning. When did you realize I hadn't made it?
When you showed us your burns, I guess? I mean, there's nothing in your bento that you needed oil for. Rena, don't you think that you're misunderstanding something? I didn't do anything. Huh? Sadako, you weren't the one who made this bento? Then did Keiichi make him by himself after all? Okay, then I guess he did.
Rena smiled roguishly and turned from Sadako to me.
When you cut cucumbers, you hold a knife like this and go like this. As for the colors, you can express all sorts of things if you place vegetables in the right way.
This lecture was clearly not meant for me.
But you've gotten a lot better since last time you showed us. I see you've been studying. If you keep this up, I bet you'll be able to make better and better dishes in no time.
She continued saying words clearly meant for Sadako while facing me instead. Sadako was clearly wearing an ambiguous look and couldn't even nod her head at her. Anyway, no matter what anyone says, I like the way my bento is today. I'm not going to share it with anybody else either. I'll eat the whole thing by myself.
How greedy! Rena wants to try some too!
As we were going back and forth, Sadako rubbed her eyes as though she was drowsy, and then I nodded to Mion and everyone else.
Excuse me, the truth is, I got Tomita to give me some of his bento.
Stupid. Hojo, what are you saying? If she kept it a secret, then at least she would have been saved. Tomita looked at her with an expression filled with regret and surprise. Huh? Is that true? Really? Oh my! Mion spun her finger around and pointed to the hallway, sentencing Sadako to the punishment game as well. Sadako left the classroom behind her, completely prepared, as though she was going with Rika on an errand.
I can't let Rika go alone. I will accompany her to the very depths of hell.
Sado Rika! Sado Rika!
You don't need to go that far.
You don't understand, Rika! You're everything to her! You don't understand!
My word, Keiichi's really terrible too. Humiliating only Rika like that. He's truly a rotten person.
I didn't mean... I couldn't just return Sadako's kindness with malice.
Hey, Sadako is really silly.
Rika spoke so that only I could hear, grinning happily. God, if you never want to watch, if you don't want to watch Higurashi Go and Sotsu, at least, look at, the ending songs and stuff. The art is just amazing. And it spells out the feelings of the characters. Especially for Sadako. In the Missing Promise ending song. Just do it. It's gorgeous.
Now then, let's be off, Rika. Punishment games are one of our duties as club members.
Sadako seems awfully happy, not frustrated in the slightest as she always was when she lost. Damn, Rika's right after all. Everyone here is a moron. Mion, I'll come clean too. I didn't make my bento today. I was the same, so I'm going with them for the punishment game. Huh? Even you, Kei-chan? What's going on?
Good luck with the punishment game, I mean. I'll get the first aid kit ready.
Call an ambulance in advance, will you? And maybe a hearse, just in case. Leaving a bewildered Meow and a happily smiling Rena behind the classroom, I went into the hallway.
What are you doing? You finally won for once! I had no idea you had such an odd taste for these punishment games that you go so as far as to volunteer yourself for one.
Guess so. It's a little much for a hobby, eh?
I swear! I think you're underestimating this one. We're one thing, but grave harm might actually befall you, Keiichi. I hope you're ready to have 1 or 2 ribs broken.
It sounds like it would hurt. I don't like getting hurt.
Keiichi, you just stand there and nod along, okay? Rika and I will smooth it over. I swear! I can't believe I have to look after you even during a punishment game. Seriously!
I already knew her pouty behavior was a sign she was actually in a really good mood. So it made me want to smile. Hey, I do want to eat some vegetable stir-fry. Sadako, can you make that?
What? Well, there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. She can make it very well. I really like Sadako's stir-fry.
She wasn't easy at first, but once she got assurance from Rika, she turned back and looked at me with once more confident eyes. It's Zelda. Let's go shopping for stuff after school today. I don't really have any idea what to buy after all.
That is true, isn't it? I think it's too early for you to go shopping at the supermarket, Keiichi. It would make me anxious if I wasn't watching. And Sadako makes me anxious that she'll buy the wrong thing if I'm not watching. Rika!
The conversation continued as we walked until we arrived before the doors of the teacher's lounge. Okay, let's get the punishment game over with and discuss the menu for tonight.
Me.
Rika's gleefully grabbed onto my arm. In turn, I pulled Sadako to me, grabbing her shoulder with my other hand. We'll all be together in death! I won't let anyone die alone!
We're all together. I won't let anybody die alone. What an indiscreet thing to say! I want no part of something so disturbing!
She may have sounded annoyed, but she was so happy it was going to make me blush. Alright, just beyond this door is the world after death. However, we shall return. All of us will.
Yes! Everyone will! Then let us sally forth!
We opened the doorway to the world of death. And like she did every day, just as the sun rose in the eastern sky, Chie was eating curry for lunch. It was store-bought, but she made the point of eating a different brand every day. Oh my! Maibara, Furude, and Hojo. Is something the matter? She appeared to be in the middle of a moment of supreme bliss. Her mouth was full of her beloved curry. And we were about to pick a fight with her. What a crime this punishment game would be. However, it is what we had to do. For that was the rule of our club! The three of us held each other's shoulders tightly once more. Alright, let's do this. Ready?
What do you mean ready? Keiichi, you're going to stay quiet! Rika and I will handle everything. And trust your life to me for now. Go for it. Yay!
What are you all doing? We could see 2 or 3 question marks popping up the teacher's head. Alright, Sadako. This is the only time I'll trust you with my life. Because I'll be shutting my eyes tightly and only thinking about what we'll be having for dinner. I'm leaving it to you! Sadako inhaled deeply. And so...
Hey, you over there! You curry!
Uh-oh. Oh, I just love these moments. In the end, my selfish request was readily granted, as Sadako muttered complaints under her breath quite merrily. She came with me to the store. Rika didn't come with us. She said she had a thing she wanted to do or something. I believed her when she told me, but when I really thought about it, I started to think maybe she was being considerate towards Sadako in her own way. Without Rika here, Sadako was prouder and more loquacious than ever.
Do you understand? Supermarkets will put things on sales when it gets near closing time. For example, you can't have a stir-fry without some pork, and if we wait a little longer, it'll be marked half off. They can't sell meat or fish once it's not fresh anymore, so they make it all cheaper in a last-ditch effort not to have anything left over. Of course, every veteran housewife is familiar with this concept, and we get ghosts to happy hour like we are now.
And I really wasn't listening to her, but she was telling me all this quite proudly. Every time I seemed surprised at something, or made an affirmative grunt in place of conversation, Sadako would say,
"You don't know anything, do you, Keiichi?"
and smile very happily in spite of her complaints. She led me by the hand to all sorts of stalls, one after another. She was in such a supreme mood that just being with her cheered me up. Merely being pulled into Sako's pace was a lot of fun. Hey, why don't we just go with this economy-sized pack? Whoa, there's a real good-looking one with cheese in it over here!
Keiichi, you have no financial sense! Look at this! It's over our budget! We don't have enough money!
Sadako pushed a handful of receipts in my face. Why can't Sadako do these kinds of mental calculations when she's at school? Drat. Should we buy a load of the normal ones or buy fewer of the better stuff with the cheese in it? This is quite troubling.
Calm down! For boys at your age, it's wiser to choose quantity over quality.
Sadako, you're being too strict. A man's heart desires both quality and quantity. Why can't you understand that?
No matter the size of a man's heart, his wallet won't be any bigger. I swear! Hey, stop clinging to the glass so stubbornly!
After enjoying ourselves in such an exchange, we started to hear energetic voices coming over by the butcher we visited earlier. I could see a handful of housewives flooding the place.
Oh no! If we don't hurry, half-off pork will be gone!
Ow! Don't pull me! Don't pull my neck! Sadako really seemed like she was having fun. She looked like a kid who had grabbed her family's hands while running toward an amusement park attraction. In the end, the bag of pork we attained was so normal that it almost hurt, but I knew it would taste absolutely delicious. The cicadas had come out at some point, and the Higurashi were singing in chorus. The air was so clear and felt so good. Our silhouettes stretching out on the ground made for a really wonderful picture. I really love that imagery. Somebody should draw that. I'm too lazy to draw fan art for my favorite stuff. I just like only know how to draw things from my original characters. I don't have any energy for fan art. Sometimes. I mean, okay, I do have some Higurashi fan art. We had filled our bicycle baskets to the brim with our shopping bags. They only contained ingredients and various other foodstuffs. Even so, every last thing packed in them sort of looked really happy. It made me feel really happy in turn. I swear to God, I hope you didn't hear that stupid car. It's like 9:30. You don't need to be that loud. I swear, what is with people and their big egos and showing off how loud their stupid cars sound speeding off 9:30 p.m. at night? Anyway, going shopping for dinner seems pretty sensible too. It makes you really enjoy your meals. I can't wait to eat.
That's a part of cooking for yourself as well. Dinner starts when you're shopping for it.
I'm so excited for this. Vegetable stir fry isn't even in my mom's cookbook. I never get to eat it unless we go out to a Chinese place, so I'm really looking forward to it today.
That is indeed a pity. Then today I'll present to you an especially tasty dish.
Normally right about now was the time I'd start messing with her, but I didn't. Yeah, I bet you'll end up making something really great. I'm really looking forward to it. She stammered for a second. Sadako had been prepared for me to start making fun of her right then too, and when it didn't come, she was surprised. Maybe she stammered for some other reason. I don't know, but I immediately knew she wasn't feeling anything bad.
Yes, I'll deliver an extraordinarily delectable dish. You'd better look forward to it.
As Sadako and I rode back on our bikes, I had a thought. Was I this sort of person? Until now, I would have lashed back at Sadako right away if she did something to me. Yeah, that was the kind of relationship we had. We'd poke at each other a little and kick up a storm while nitpicking at one another. At some point, that had changed. We weren't playing our usual tit for tat. I didn't provoke her, so we didn't fight. I went for Sadako, too. Sadako, who I thought I knew, hadn't been like this until now. Her relationship was changing little by little. That's what it felt like. But it wasn't something I had to worry about. It was like our relationship had become a little bit more happier, a little bit more charming. I wonder why we changed like this. Was she lonely and projecting her older brother Satoshi, who hadn't returned home, onto me? Rika told me about that yesterday. It was probably exactly it. So, as my actions drew closer to Satoshi's, Sadako was returning to how she'd been when she was living happily with her brother. In other words, this Sadako was the real Sadako. Sadako had been able to see her brother again, and had finally gotten back to normal. Now that I'd been playing the role of her brother, I discovered that she could really smile so sweetly. But I wasn't Hojo Satoshi. I was Maibara Keiichi, a totally different person. I couldn't become her brother. I could become close, but I could never really get there. That was vaguely somehow a little sad. I was wearing Satoshi's mantle, and that would have to come off one day. And that would doubtlessly put an end to this meager, nostalgic, and peaceful time of Sadako's. A limited tranquility. A tranquility that would end one day. Putting it in those terms, it was really sad. I shook my head firmly and drove off those pointless thoughts.
What's the matter, Keiichi?
Sorry, it's nothing.
If it's nothing, then please don't act all strange like that. It makes me worry that you might have eaten something rotten.
Right. Sorry, Sadako. Nagging like always, but she seemed really happy. That mood of hers drew me in, putting a smile on my own face. Hey, Maibara Keiichi, why don't we quit thinking about having to end this one day? If it will, just think about it when that happens. There's one thing, however, that I could say for sure. As long as I smiled like this, Sadako's own smile would never wane. So as long as I stay this way, this tranquility would never end. Satoshi would come back one day too. That might happen a lot further than I'd like, but until that day, what's wrong with me being a replacement for him? Saying that I'm not her real brother so I can't become Satoshi, that was just an excuse. If I just didn't run away, Sadako would stay happy and live a fun life and avoid nitpicking. I don't know what happened to Satoshi or what made him abandon Sadako and run away. But just seeing Sadako in such a good mood made me think I could persevere as long as I needed to. So this is what I thought. I wouldn't become Satoshi. I would become a replacement brother. Why can't you just think about just being like a brother in spirit, you know? I had a best friend that I thought of like family. I think that's good enough. This is it. This is the kind of stir fry I was waiting for. It's great. It's absolutely great. The salt and pepper in the broth. Man, I could eat an entire pot of this.
Stop that, Keiichi! You're spilling food everywhere. The food isn't going to run away. You don't need to eat it so fast.
No, it will run away. The best and freshest flavors are running away for the moment the meal is completed. If you were to make 100 delicious things, I had to do to taste every one of them. It's just good manners to do so.
Your feelings are more than enough, so calm down and enjoy your food.
You're right, I'm sorry. No insults here. I meekly scratched my head and put down my chopsticks and laughed along with her like it was funny. I ended up doing most of the eating. Sadako was barely taking a bite. She seemed so satisfied just by watching me enjoy the food so much. Whenever I filled my mouth with more of her delicious meal, Sadako looked glad. That let me enjoy the food even more. In this way, she kept smiling happily the whole time. Looking at her made me feel really happy as well. The time passed, softly and gently. Before, I would have gone back and forth hurling insults with Sadako. In other words, we could have gotten into a fight right away. I never know I could feel such a peace of mind just by talking to her honestly like this. I was a little bit happy about having discovered this new side of Sadako. For example, I was eating food that Sadako had made. There wasn't an inch of me that thought I was suspicious. However, before Sadako would have definitely put some sort of trap into this. I think I ate too much. I'm gonna go take it. Hey, Keiji! It's bad manners to say such words during a meal! Then what should I say? I'm going to the bathroom? The toilet? The lavatory? Sadako looked down with her face bright red and pointed to the hallway, as if to say, just go already! Oops, my old habits seem to have come back, but yeah. This wasn't all that bad either. No weird schemes. Everything is just natural. While having such an utterly unguarded thoughts, I went into the bathroom. My foot caught on something string-like. Huh? Ah! A kettle! Washtubs! Sadako! She got me. I can't believe her. She always does this when I let my guard down. I can't relax for a minute around her. Still, it was kind of funny and I didn't really feel like getting angry. Sadako, laughing uproariously, came over.
See? I knew you would fall for it sooner or later.
Why, you little? I let my guard down for 1 second, and this is what I get! I picked up all the washtubs that hit me in the head and went out to hit Sadako with them. But then I doubled over with laughter that had been welling up within me, so I couldn't manage it. I wish things could go on forever like this. It's not like I was having the most fun since coming to Hinamizawa or something. But it was probably the first time that I'd spent my day so simply and comfortably. It really wasn't worth much. It was only a few hours after all. As an only child, it was my first taste of having a sibling. Just washing dishes with her felt really nice. Side by side, we washed, with the experienced Sadako doing most of the work as I threw in appropriate words to add to the conversation. I don't know if I could truly relate in that sense, but I've had adult siblings. So I didn't have anybody my age. Everybody was a lot older than me. So I could see how I could relate to Keiichi in that way. And the best friend that I had was also an only child. So, yeah. The scene was so commonplace, and yet so mild and warm. Maybe I had felt this kind of warmth before too in my past. I think I stood next to the sink with my mother like this when I was little. It made me feel nostalgic when I remembered it. It was the same sort of slow, easy time. It was tranquil. Such quiet tranquility that the fact I wasn't uneasy about anything itself almost made me uneasy. Hey, wait, Maibara Keiichi. You feel uneasy about something just from spending time so leisurely? There's nothing at all to feel uneasy about. I mean, why would I be punished for enjoying a gentle life? I'd do anything to keep these days going, and I would never do anything bad no matter what. I'd work hard for it and endure much for it. So God, it's not much of a dream to want this kind of thing to keep going, but can't you grant it? Oh boy.
Oh! Is that not the telephone? Who could it be at this hour?
Oh, you're right. I hadn't noticed until she mentioned it. I hurried up and ran to the phone. Who could it be at a time like this? I did feel like a little that the phone had interrupted my happy moment. I still wanted to brag about happy the time I was spending made me, no matter who it was on the other side. Okay, and there's another thing I wanted to add. But yeah, honestly, when you go, like, I remember being a kid and I hated shopping, like, but it honestly feels really good to just go shopping with your friends or people who you really consider close in that sense. I had a very kind of neglectful upbringing, so I understand this in that sense. I mean, I think it's significant enough for me to point out because it's not that common for me, so yeah. Anyway, hello? This is Maibara speaking. Hello? Keiichi, it's your mother. Oh, hello, Mom. What is it? It's pretty late. That was a little cold of me when she was only calling because she was worried about her son. I couldn't help but give myself a dry smile. It sounds like you're doing just fine for yourself. I was worried that you couldn't make dinner and went to bed hungry. Nah, it worked out. Did you make dinner properly? What did you have tonight? It was vegetable stir-fry, rice, and miso soup. Brought stuff from the supermarket, plus a whole bunch of side dishes just for fun. Oh yeah, listen to this. I got pork during the sale and got it half off. The thing about a housewife knows, right? And all this was thanks to Sadako. And that's something I should be proud about. But still, I couldn't help but want to boast about the dinner tonight. It seemed like Mom got the hint I was in a really good mood. I see. I'm so relieved you're doing just fine. Oh, yes, and another thing. Your dad and I finished up with our job. We think we'll head back tomorrow afternoon or evening. Oh, I see. You did well for 2 nights. We've been pulling all-nighters, too. It was a lot of work, but we managed to fill the gap for your dad's mentor event. Cool. That's good. Well done. Why did my parents coming home seem so disappointing? I knew a little bit of the reason, of course. This tranquility I never wanted to end was about to end so readily, and it was a little painful. After being asked what kind of souvenir I wanted from Tokyo, and replied that anything edible would be great, I put down the receiver and Sadako appeared, having finished and cleaned up her trap. At first, Sadako was in a very good mood, but when she saw me put down the receiver with an uncertain expression, her own clouded over a bit. It seemed like she'd gotten the gist of what my phone conversation had been about.
Was that your parents, Keiichi?
Yeah, Mom says they'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, that's good then. I won't have to go to the trouble of making you dinner tomorrow. Now you can enjoy your meals with just your family.
No, that's not it. When I think about the dull plain dinner table coming back tomorrow, it's a little lonely.
You sure do live in luxury. A family sitting around the dinner table is the most fun way to enjoy a meal of all.
Her brother Satoshi, running away from home, came to mind immediately. But there's no gloom in the way she said it.
It was only for 2 days, but they were very enjoyable dinners.
Well, then next time I'll go to your house to visit.
Huh?
Sadako momentarily made me smile, but a second later it changed to expressions of surprise.
My house is small, and it's dirty, and the kitchen isn't as good as this one.
Well, I don't mind, but, well, if you don't want to, then I won't. Sadako shook her head firmly, her whole body expressing denial. I gotta get you to teach me a whole bunch more stuff, too. I finally managed to figure out how to use the rice cooker and how to cook miso soup after all.
That's right, isn't it? Perhaps we should just use this opportunity to have you learn more about cooking.
It was so like Sadako to take this chance to proclaim that this was all for my sake. But there was no way to conceal her own enthusiasm. It's true that this gentle time would come to an end when my parents got back. There was no need to lament that, though. I can easily put in the effort to continue our mild moments like this. Like yesterday, Sadako told me she didn't need to be escorted home, but Rika wasn't with her tonight. She'd be going home by herself. Everyone knew everyone else's face here in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't like it was dangerous to go out at night, but it still wasn't good to send a girl all away on her own. At the very least, that's what I thought as Sadako's older brother. I'll take you as far as the school, at least. There's more lights over in that direction anyway.
It's really fine, all right. If someone bad shows up, I'll take them down with one finger.
There's no point in pressing her any more on the subject. I took a handful of Sadako's hair and rubbed her head vigorously. Come on, Sadako, don't complain so much. Your Nini will bring your part away there. Oh. That's what I thought I was about to say, and I suddenly got embarrassed. My voice trailed off. Nini could only be the nickname Sadako gave to her older brother and nothing else. I was about to use it pretty lightly, so I started to feel apologetic and a little ashamed.
Nini.
What did Sadako just say?
Well, Keiichi, it just seems like an older brother. That's what I said. It's not quite right, but you seem kind of alike, so I just...
Sadako laughed awkwardly and turned red in the face. Of course I was embarrassed when I saw her too, because the fact I was trying to act like her brother had gotten across. A warm feeling spread out from my chest. It was completely different from romantic feelings or any of those more impatient emotions. It was much more graceful, quiet, and warm and calm. Sadako still needed her Nini. I initially thought Rika was being sly by not coming today, but when I thought about it like this, I could feel a kind of thoughtfulness of her worrying about a good friend's feelings. Maybe Rika had understood she couldn't play the part of a brother herself. So then, no. Let's stop there, my Keiichi. There's no point in thinking about it so hard. It means everyone feels the same way. It means everyone wants Sadako to be happy. Sadako is acting as though her Nini running away from home didn't bother her at all. Even though that wasn't actually the case. She was very sad, and always waiting for him to come home. Because Sadako was a stable person when she was his sister. In order for her to really be this level-headed, having a brother was something she couldn't do without. In other words, Sadako still needed a brother. Nobody had the right to smile it away as childish immaturity. In fact, they deserve praise for being so close to each other as siblings. That role of brother should be played by her real Nini, by Satoshi. But unfortunately, he wasn't here. So, since I'm here, I'll play the part. Not with a guilty conscience, but in a very natural way. Because, was there something wrong with seeing Sadako smile so happily?
What is it, Keiji? You've been smirking for quite a while now.
Is it weird for me to look happy?
It isn't weird or anything, but, well...
The sound of the motor on her bike light was too loud. I couldn't hear what Sadako said. Huh? What did you say?
Nothing. You really are just like Nini, you know, Keiji.
Is that right?
Of course you're completely different from my real Nini, but like, there's things that you do the same. It's really a mystery.
The same? Do you feel lonely when you remember Nini? Once I said that, I thought for a moment that was absolutely the wrong thing to say, but Sadako didn't seem to mind one bit.
It's not that I'm lonely, since Keiichi's being my Nini for me right now.
As I was flustered for a moment at her hitting the mark, Sadako was suddenly asking me a question in a calm voice. It was very quiet, a composed adult question.
Was it Rika?
It was quiet, but her voice sounded lonely somehow.
Didn't Rika ask you to act like my Nini for me?
Is that what you think?
Please don't take offense. Rika is strangely considerate of me, but it really doesn't bother me that much.
I could say for sure, at least that was a lie. Yesterday and today, Sadako had been smiling, spending time like this with me as siblings. And that was proof itself that she was lying about it not getting to her. So I gave Sadako a light poke in the head. You're thinking too much, dummy. It's me. I'm Maibara Keiichi. I'm not your Nini. Not Hojo Satoshi.
I know that.
Despite her saying that, her expression seemed a little lonesome. At this point, Sadako herself had realized her question had been the wrong thing to say. We didn't need to keep talking about something that Sadako regretted. So in order to cut the conversation short, I grabbed Sadako's head and pet her. Let's not talk about silly things like that. It's getting late, so get back home, brush your teeth, and go to bed. And rinse your mouth before sleeping, too. It'll keep you from getting a cold.
You're one to talk, Nini. Be sure to brush your teeth, okay? Rinse your mouth and wash your hands, and get your books ready tomorrow. And...
I wonder what kind of siblings Sadako and Satoshi were. I'd never seen them together, but I could say without a doubt they were really close. As for the way in which they were close, it was probably quite like this. It was so cool that the day's heat seemed like a lie, and yet the moonlight was somehow faintly warm. The quiet chorus of the insects was pleasing to the ears. You receive new tubes. Sadako's trap course intermediate. I'm sorry I messed up a couple of times. And stuff. I don't know. I think it's just an emotional peak during the month that my emotions intensify. I usually do not cry at times like this. I usually don't. I don't know why I am. So anyway, let's read a tip. I could see Tomina and Okamura walking over to the gym storehouse. They needed to get the bag of line used to make the lines on the court for our next gym class. They were on duty today, after all. But in that storehouse, a terrible trap was awaiting them. Being on this side of the trap for once was really thrilling.
If you realize that that's the true pleasure of setting up traps, then you have the potential yourself, Keiichi!
The two of them fumbled around with their gym storehouse lock. Oh, what's this? Okamura pointed to the part of the door and started whispering to Tomita. Realizing something, they both jumped away from the door. Sadako, I think they found out! Did we mess up?
I had calculated they would notice the trap at the entrance. And of course I calculated what action they'll take now.
According to Sadako, after they noticed a suspicious trap on the door, they'd go around and try to get in through the back window. Just as she prophesied, they went around to the back. Just as she prophesied, they climbed up, opened the window, and tried to sneak in. Wow, amazing. Everything's exactly like you said. It got them! An explosion of pure white lime burst out of the window. After a few moments, the two of them managed to crawl away from the window, both of them complete white.
This is the moment I live for! It tastes like honey!
But still, that was some trap. You would have to notice everything to set up something like that. Where they put their hands, their legs, where they jump down.
Listen carefully, Keiichi. The first step to making a trap is to watch and observe the victim. You must scrupulously predict their movement patterns and how they'll move at any given moment. If you do that, then you can achieve the greatest possible result with only the most minimal trap.
Come to think of it, before Sadako read the final move at that final moment earlier, Mion had given her high praise, saying she had the makings of a genius. So it's all about reading the opponent. So then, the traps you've caught me in before, they work because you figured out everything I do?
Yeah! I can see right through all your actions, and that's how I set them up! So one day you suddenly started having different habits and behavior, I wouldn't be able to anymore.
Right, she can anticipate everything I do. That was kind of mean. It's because Keiichi's the easiest to read out of all of them. Okay, then let's play a game now. I want to test whether your predictions are accurate.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Keiichi, you're particularly easy to get a read on. I could do it before breakfast.
When we went back to the classroom, Sadako tore off pieces of paper and wrote something on the back of them, making 3 cards. Of course, I didn't know what she'd written.
Please pick one of these cards, Keiichi. If you do not pick one that says you're a loser, you'll win.
Great, you're on! The club has built up my sensitivity and stuff, so I'll smash right through your predictions. Sadako smirks and holds out the 3 cards. Set your mind at full power by calming it, my brother Keiichi. Cool and collected is how you'll win. If I don't pick the losing one, I'll win. Which means if I do it, Sadako will win. In other words, Sadako wants to make me pick the losing one. What would she do to make sure I pick the losing one? Could she even predict something like that? Statistically speaking, there isn't some rule that says I'm more likely to pick one in the middle or the other ones on either side. It hits me like a flash. This is what Mio would do.
Now, which one will you pick?
I made my decision, and it is this one!
Huh? What are you doing?
I steal all 3 cards from Sadako's hands. I predicted what Sadako would do in advance. Sadako wanted to make sure I picked the losing one, which meant all 3 of these were losing ones. And that's how I knew. Allow me to look at all 3. I flip all 3 face up, and on each one there's a single word. You're a loser. What is this? You're a loser, huh?
It means just what it says. If you had only chosen one, you wouldn't have lost. What? Then you predicted that I'd draw all 3? Ah!
I held held my head in my hands and faded aside, go reveled at the sight of her abilities. Her shrill laughter echoed throughout the classroom. And then there was a poof of lime powder came down upon Sadako's head. I looked to see Tomina and Okamura all in white, dumping a whole bag of lime powder on her, getting their revenge.
Hojo, you're the only one who could have set up a trick like that. Well, excuse me. Would you happen to have any proof? And I'd like it if you didn't call me something so inelegant. A trick. I would prefer you call it something more refined. A trap.
Payback!
Keiji, help me!
Oh my god! Our underclassmen crashed around the classroom in furious combat, getting white lime everywhere. Hey, Sadako? How couldn't you see this coming exactly? At this time, I hadn't seen something coming too. The teacher coming to me afterward and all giving us a stern lecture telling you to. Alright. That was fun. And also a good way to not burst into tears after the chapter. It's just the more that you reread these, for me,